because I get this question so often, I wanted to go ahead and give you a more comprehensive response. And I think it might benefit some other people too. So let's go ahead and break it down. All right. So when it comes to hula hoops, size really does matter a lot. The bigger the hoop, the slower it spins, which is going to be really good for on-body hooping because it's going to give you more time to kind of connect with the rhythm and the flow. Small, light hoops are going to move really fast. So that's great for off-body tricks, flow, optical illusion technique, things like body rolls, high tosses, isolation, stuff like that. So hula hoops are based on height, body type, skill level, and flow style. This is why when people ask me what size hoop I use, it's really not just an easy answer. It is an easy answer, technically speaking. I prefer a 33-inch polypro hoop, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what I use is going to be great for you. And this is why I want to give a more in-depth reply to this question. So I'd say to hoopers, check in with yourself. Think about what style of hoop you most gravitate towards. Because if you're going to go with a large, slow-moving hoop, that's going to be great for your on-body moves like I talked about. If you want that off-body trick-based technique that you might see a lot of hoopers here on TikTok doing really cool stuff with, and you want to learn that route, that style of hooping, by all means, go with the smaller, lighter hoop, but understand it's going to be harder for the on-body tricks and flow. My personal recommendation is to start with a large, slow-moving hoop and then progress as you get more advanced into a smaller size. That's what I did when I started hula hooping. I began with a 42-inch PE, which is polyethylene hoop. It was large, very slow moving, but it gave me the foundations for waist hooping, shoulder hooping, leg hooping, angles, all of that core foundational work that really helped to grow and sustain a well-rounded hoop dance practice over time. Then I sized down, like I said, I kind of landed on that 33-inch polypro. But the funny thing is, I've been at this for almost 20 years and I have hoopers that are, a year or two into it that prefer a 30-inch or a 29 or a 28 because their flow style is a little bit different than mine. So, I think ultimately you're going to want to land on something that works well for you where you can do it all. That's why I like being in that sweet spot of 33 because I can do all my on-body work, but it's also not, too big for the off-body tricks and flow, but that's my personal preference and style. So I'd say, first of all, get clear on what style of hooping you're most inspired by, because that's also going to determine what hoop you go with. And I've got to share one more thing because there are a couple different schools of thought here. All right. So when our art form started to get really popular, the fitness companies, some of them came out with these big weighted hula hoops that were mass produced in the 3 to 5 pound range. Nobody needs one of those. Those are too heavy and they can cause injury, and I don't recommend them. Handmade hoops are always the way to go, and nobody needs a hoop that's over 2 pounds. It's more about what you do with the hula hoop to maximize the fitness benefits. But something that's too heavy can cause injury, and I'm huge on injury prevention. So I had to say that. Also, a heavier hoop that is a small diameter also serves no purpose. And I get these questions on Etsy sometimes, so I wanted to address that too. It's just awkward. So as we size down and we go smaller diameter, that typically means a lighter material also. And if anybody ever has questions about what hoop would be best for them, there are usually just a few questions that I ask, and you guys can DM me anytime. I would need your height, your body type, and the flow style you most gravitate towards, and then I can make a recommendation for you. I always want to set people up for success, like I said, and having education around how the actual hoops are made and they work, I think it helps a lot. I personally work with 8 different types of material. So these are totally customizable. Once I have a little information, I can help guide people on a hoop that's going to be best for them. So I really hope this helps. If you guys have any additional specific questions about hoop sizing, feel free to let me know. I've been making hoops for as long as I've been hooping, which is almost 20 years. So I've got a lot to say on this topic, and I'm always here to help you guys.